the next topic we are going to discuss chemical properties of aluminium. So basically, in chemical properties of aluminium, first we discuss the reaction of aluminium with air. As we know, due to high affinity of aluminium towards oxygen, it combines with oxygen and forms Al2O3. So basically, due to high affinity of aluminium towards oxygen, it combines and react with oxygen, gives Al2O3, and also in this process some amount of heat is also released. So basically this is an exothermic process. So we can see that aluminium on reaction with oxygen, because the affinity of aluminium towards oxygen is very high, and also with the formation of aluminium oxide, it also generates the amount of energy. Therefore we can say this process is exothermic. So delta H is negative in this case because the high amount of heat is released in this process. And also this reaction we called as thermite reaction. Now see, in reaction with air for aluminium, we can also say aluminium reacts with nitrogen. So when aluminium directly combines with nitrogen, it forms aluminium nitride, and we know aluminium nitride having nitride ion, so the charge on nitride ion is -3. And we know when aluminium nitride undergo hydrolysis, so when aluminium nitride undergo hydrolysis, ammonia gas is evolved with aluminium hydroxide, so ALOH thrice. Now we will discuss the reaction of aluminium with acids. See, the reaction of aluminium with acids. So the reaction with acids, when aluminium reacts with HCl, it forms AlCl3 along with evolution of hydrogen gas. As we know, aluminium when reacts with acid, it forms hydrogen gas, and we know aluminium reacts with acid as well as base. So when aluminium reacts with acid, hydrogen gas is evolved, and also when aluminium reacts with base, then also hydrogen gas is evolved. Now see the reaction of aluminium with HNO3. So when aluminium reacts with HNO3, it forms Al2O3, and we know Al2O3 will forms a protective layer around aluminium. If it is aluminium, then aluminium oxide Al2O3 will form a protective layer around aluminium. Therefore, now after formation of protective layer of Al2O3 on the surface of aluminium further does not react with HNO3. So after formation of Al2O3 on the surface of aluminium become passive towards reaction with HNO3. So we can say when aluminium reacts with HNO3, then there is formation of Al2O3. So there is formation of layer of Al2O3 on the surface of aluminium, so that it cannot further react with HNO3, and the metal become passive towards HNO3. See the next chemical property of aluminium, the reaction of aluminium with base, alkali or base. We know when aluminium reacts with acid, then hydrogen gas is evolved. Also when aluminium reacts with base, then also there is evolution of hydrogen gas, and the compound form here is soluble, water soluble complex we called sodium meta-aluminate. As we know that the oxides and hydroxides of aluminium are amphoteric in nature, because their oxides and hydroxides react with acid as well as base. Now the next chemical property of aluminium is the reaction of aluminium with halogen. See, basically when aluminium reacts with halogen, then trihalides are formed. So when aluminium reacts with X2, it forms trihalide, and we know in trihalide AlF3 is ionic in nature. So AlF3 is ionic in nature. Why AlF3 is ionic in nature? Because it dissociates into Al3 plus ion and 3F minus. So we can see that octet of aluminium is also complete, and octet of fluorine is also complete. So there is also 10 electrons, and in fluorine there are also 10 electrons. Therefore, AlF3 is not an electron deficient compound. So AlF3 is not an electron deficient compound because of its ionic nature. The octet of each element is complete here. While AlCl3, AlBr3 and AlI3, these three trihalides of aluminium are covalent. Only AlF3 is ionic in nature. So we can say when aluminium reacts with halogen, it forms trihalide, and out of this trihalide, AlF3 is ionic in nature, while rest are covalent in nature. Now we will discuss the reducing nature of aluminium. See the reducing nature of aluminium. See, so basically aluminium acts as a reducing agent. We know reducing nature, then it will convert chromium oxide into chromium metal. So there is reduction of Cr2O3, removal of oxygen, and chromium oxide will change into chromium. So this is the reducing nature of aluminium. Itself oxidizes and reduces others, and also in this process high amount of heat is released. So this is also an exothermic process. In the same way, when aluminium acts as a reducing agent for Fe2O3, then aluminium will oxidize itself, addition of oxygen, and reduces others. So Fe2O3 gets reduced into Fe. So basically, because aluminium being more electropositive can reduce metal oxide of less reactive metal, because the aluminium is more electropositive as compared to chromium and iron. Therefore aluminium can reduce less electropositive metals. So those electropositive metals, those metals which are less electropositive, like chromium and iron, are less electropositive than aluminium. So aluminium can reduce less electropositive metal oxides. So we can say aluminium being more electropositive as compared to chromium and iron, therefore aluminium can reduce chromium oxide and iron oxide of less reactive metal. Now see the halides of aluminium. As we can see, when aluminium reacts with halogen, on heating is formed trihalide. And we know that in case of AlF3, we know AlF3 is ionic in nature, while AlCl3, AlBr3 and AlI3 are covalent in nature. And the covalent nature increases, and because AlF3 is ionic in nature, so AlF3 cannot behave as a Lewis acid, and AlF3 will dissociate into Al3 positive ion and F negative ion because of ionic nature of AlF3. So electrons in aluminium is also 10 2-8, and in fluorine also 2-8. While the other compounds of aluminium, trihalides like AlCl3, AlBr3 and AlI3. So covalent nature increases from AlCl3 to AlI3 will be discussed on the basis of Fajans rule. As we can see, the cationic part is same, Al3+. While we can see the size of anion increases, Cl-, Br- and I-. And we know polarizing power is proportional to the size of anion. Greater the size of anion, greater is the polarizing power. So therefore greater is the covalent character. Hence, because cationic part is same, Al3+, 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 but the size of anion increases from Cl-, Br-, then I-, due to which size of anion increases, polarizing power increases, hence covalent character increases. Therefore covalent character of AlI3 maximum and AlCl3 is lowest, while AlF3 is ionic in nature. As we can see in AlX3, around aluminium there are only 6 electrons. It means the octet of aluminium is not completed. Therefore AlX3 will behave as a Lewis acid only when X halogen belongs to chlorine, bromine and iodine, because AlF3 is ionic in nature. So AlF3 is not electron deficient, not Lewis acid, because octet of each element is completed due to its ionic nature. Now see, so basically in the case of AlCl3, we can see aluminium has vacant orbital. In AlCl3, central atom has vacant orbital. Also there is electron pair on chlorine atom. Also in the case of AlCl3, we can see in Cl3 there is electron pair on chlorine atom. So this is electron pair on chlorine atom. But due to large size of atoms, as aluminium belongs to 3p orbital and also chlorine also belongs to 3p orbital. So basically, due to large size, the back bonding between aluminium and Cl is not possible. Back bonding is possible in the case of BF3. Why back bonding is possible in the case of BF3? We can see that because in BF3, boron having vacant orbital belongs to 2p orbital, and fluorine also electron pair containing orbital belongs to 2p orbital. So because the size of orbitals is small and also similar size, and size is small, therefore overlapping is effective. Hence in BF3 there is back bonding, while in AlCl3 there is no back bonding. Therefore, due to larger size of atoms, there is no back bonding. But AlCl3 is electron deficient, and we have to overcome the electron deficiency. of AlCl3. See what happens. So basically, two AlCl3 molecules undergo dimer process. So basically, they form dimer. So after forming dimer, the electron deficiency of aluminium is overcome. So in this case, AlCl3 back bonding is not possible due to large size of atoms. Therefore, electron deficiency is not completed by back bonding. So these two molecules undergo dimerization process and remove the electron deficiency of central atom. See, this is one AlCl3 molecule. And this is another AlCl3 molecule. As we can see, on this chlorine atom there is electron pair which is extra. So therefore, chlorine donate its extra electron pair to vacant orbital of aluminium and forms coordinate bond. Now this chlorine also has this chlorine. So this molecule AlCl3. So the electron pair from this molecule of chlorine is donated to aluminium. Hence removes the electron deficiency, while there is also in this molecule also there is chlorine atom which is electron rich. It will also donate its electron pair to aluminium and form coordinate bond. So basically we can see that two AlCl3 molecules are associated through bridge bonding. So basically this bond we call bridge bond. And in bridge bond we can see one center, two center, three centers. So basically three centers are involved. And how many electrons? Two electrons are in this bond and two electrons in this bond. So basically three centers, aluminium, chlorine, aluminium, and 4 electrons are involved. So basically bridge bond is also called 3 center 4 electron bond. Now see the terminal bonds. In terminal bonds 1, 2, 3, 4. In this we can see 2 centers are there. Aluminium Cl 2 centers are there and 2 electrons are involved. Therefore these bonds we call 2 center 2 electron bonds. So AlCl3 in vapor phase. Exists in the form of dimer to remove its electron deficiency. So AlCl3 in the vapor phase exists in the form of dimer to remove its electron deficiency. Now we will discuss Al2Cl6 dimer in water. So basically, when the dimer of AlCl3 Al2Cl6 in water, so it breaks and exists as a hydrated complex. So Al2Cl6 in water exists in the form of hydrated complex, and we know as aluminium can show coordination number of 6 due to vacant d orbital. Therefore, in case of aluminium, 6 water molecules can be attached because of coordination number 6 can be shown by the aluminium due to presence of vacant d orbital. Therefore, AlCl3 in water, also we can say Al2Cl6 in water, breaks and exists in the hydrated complex AlH2O6. Why 6 water molecules are attached? Because aluminium can show coordination number of 6 due to presence of vacant d orbital. Now we will discuss about the chemical properties of AlCl3. See, the chemical properties of compound AlCl3. So basically, the first chemical property of AlCl3 is hydrolysis reaction. So the first chemical property of AlCl3 is hydrolysis reaction. What is hydrolysis reaction? Basically, It is a reaction of AlCl3 in aqueous solution. So basically, the aqueous solution of AlCl3. The aqueous solution of AlCl3 means AlCl3 reaction with water. This reaction we called hydrolysis. So the aqueous solution of AlCl3 is acidic in nature. Why it is acidic in nature? See, because when AlCl3 reacts with water, it forms aluminium hydroxide, which is a weak base, and with the formation of strong acid. So due to formation of strong acid 100% dissociate. Therefore, we can say the aqueous solution of AlCl3 is acidic in nature due to release of H plus ion. Now we will discuss the another property of AlCl3. The next property of AlCl3 is reaction of AlCl3 with NaOH. See, basically, on addition of a small amount of NaOH, into AlCl3. So when AlCl3 reacts with NaOH, then it also forms the precipitate of AlOH thrice and with the formation of salt NaCl. See, so when AlCl3 reacts with base alkali NaOH, it forms a PPT, white PPT of aluminium hydroxide along with NaCl. If we use excess NaOH, then this PPT also dissolve. So basically, when we use excess of NaOH, then the PPT of aluminium hydroxide will dissolve. See, so on using excess of NaOH, then again this aluminium hydroxide will dissolve in the sodium hydroxide and it forms a soluble complex in water. It forms a soluble complex in water. So basically, it forms sodium meta-aluminate, which is soluble. It forms soluble complex, which we call sodium meta-aluminate, and the complex form of sodium meta-aluminate is NaAlOH4. So basically, we can see that the excess of aluminium hydroxide is dissolved. If we use excess of NaOH, then this PPT of aluminium hydroxide will dissolve and it forms a soluble complex of NaAlOH4. Also, we can say in short form sodium meta-aluminate. Now we will discuss the reaction of AlCl3 with ammonium hydroxide. See, the reaction with ammonium hydroxide. So we can see that when AlCl3 is dissolved in NH4OH, it also forms the white PPT. Of aluminium hydroxide, and this aluminium hydroxide is insoluble in the excess of NH4OH. So basically, aluminium hydroxide is soluble in excess of NaOH, while aluminium hydroxide is insoluble in the excess of NH4OH. But it is soluble in NaOH. While it's soluble in NaOH, it forms a complex of NaAlOH4. Now we will discuss the important compound of aluminium, which is lithium aluminium hydride. So the next compound, which is very important for organic reactions, the compound of aluminium we call lithium aluminium hydride. See, basically, lithium aluminium hydride breaks into the form of Li plus and AlH4 minus charge. The hybridization of aluminium in AlH4 minus is sp3. So we can see that Li plus and the hybridization of aluminium is sp3 because 4 hydrogen atoms are attached to aluminium. And lithium aluminium hydride is a strong reducing agent. So basically, it is a very good reducing agent and can reduce very important organic compounds. See, the first organic compound we are going to discuss for reduction by lithium aluminium hydride is aldehyde group. So basically, when we use lithium aluminium hydride, so basically it is used for the reduction. So removal of oxygen and addition of hydrogen. So we can see that aldehyde group on reduction with lithium aluminium hydride, so aldehyde will convert into alcohol. because we know acids on reduction, acid reduces to aldehyde and aldehyde reduces to alcohol. This is the series. While oxidation series is alcohol oxidize to aldehyde and aldehyde oxidizes to acids. So basically when we reduce, then acids reduces to aldehyde and aldehyde reduces to alcohol. So in this case we can see that aldehyde group is present and we are using the reducing agent lithium aluminum hydride. So aldehyde will reduce into alcohol of the same carbon, 1,2 carbon, therefore 1,2 carbon. Now see the reduction of ketone. Also, when ketones are reduced, when aldehydes are reduced, then 1 degree alcohol is formed. And when ketone is reduced by using lithium aluminum hydride, then 2 degree alcohol is produced. See, when we use carboxylic acid for reduction by using lithium aluminum hydride, so basically carboxylic acid gets reduces to alcohol directly. So it means lithium aluminum hydride is a strong reducing agent. It directly reduces carboxylic acid into alcohol. Now see the next example. So basically lithium aluminum hydride also reduces the amide group. See how it reduces amide group. So basically removal of oxygen and addition of hydrogen. So when we use lithium aluminum hydride, then amide it changes into 1 degree amine. So amide group changes into amine. And also when we use nitrile group, CN group, and reducing agent we use lithium aluminum hydride, then nitrile group will reduce into also amine group. Therefore lithium aluminum hydride is a strong reducing agent. Now see, but lithium aluminum hydride cannot reduce double bonded carbon. So double bonded carbon if present in the isolated form. So when double bonded carbon is present in the isolated form, then we cannot reduce double bonded carbon by using lithium aluminum hydride. So no reaction. Now we will discuss another group, which is group number 14. We also call this group as carbon family. So now we are going to discuss our new group of P block, which is 14th group we called carbon family. See. So basically we know the general electronic configuration of carbon family. General electronic configuration is NS2NP2. General electronic configuration is NS2NP2, and the maximum oxidation state is the number of valence electrons. So 2 plus 2 4. Therefore the common oxidation state shown by group 14 is +4, while the lowest member of the group can show oxidation state of +2 due to inert pair effect. So basically also we know the first element of the group. The first element of the group belongs to the second period. The first element of this group belongs to second period, and the properties of the first member of the group is different with respect to other members. So basically second period element, which is carbon, first element of the group, shows different behavior due to a small size of carbon, and if size is small it means high ionization energy. So the anomalous this property we call anomalous behavior. So anomalous behavior of the carbon is due to a small size of carbon, high ionization energy of carbon, and also we know in carbon the electronic configuration is 2s2p. So basically 2d orbital is not possible. Also there is non-availability of vacant d orbital. Therefore we can say the properties of first member of the group is different from the rest members due to this behavior we called anomalous behavior, and this is due to a small size, high ionization energy, and non-availability of vacant d orbital. See, as carbon belongs to second period, now the next member is silicon. Silicon belongs to third period, and general electronic configuration NS2NP2. So N is 2 for second period, now N is 3. So the valence shell configuration for silicon is 3s2 3p2. Now see for germanium. Germanium also +4 oxidation state. So the configuration is 4s2 4p2. Now for tin, the configuration is 5s2 5p2. As we can see that the oxidation state shown by these compounds +4 +4 +4 +4. So the +4 oxidation state from carbon to tin is more stable. Now due to inert pair effect, we know when we move from 5th group to 6th group. So when we move from 5th period to 6th period, so basically on moving from 5th period to 6th period, so basically in 6th period what happens, as we know in 6th period the configuration is 6s2 and 6p2, 6s2 and 6p2. So basically this is nucleus, and 2 electrons are present in the 6s orbital. 2 electrons are present in the 6s orbital. So basically we can see that, and 2 electrons are present in the 6p orbital. So we can see that these 2 electrons, due to inert pair effect, will not take part in the chemical bonding. Therefore the oxidation state shown by lead, the oxidation state shown by lead is +2. So we know due to inert pair effect, the lower oxidation state is more stable for lower elements, as we have already discussed. Now we will discuss about the next property, which we call allotropy. So see, what is allotropy? Basically allotropy is the tendency of an element. Allotropy is what? So allotropy is the tendency of an element to exist in the different forms. So what is allotropy? Allotropy is what? Tendency of an element to exist in different form, having different physical properties. So basically we can say allotropy is the tendency of an element to exist in different forms, and also they are having different properties. Now we will discuss about the allotropes of carbon. See, what are the allotropes of carbon? See the allotropes of carbon. So basically in allotropes of carbon, we divide the allotropes of carbon into 2 parts. So one of the part is crystalline and one of the part is amorphous. So basically there are 3 allotropes in the crystalline form of carbon. So there are 3 allotropes of carbon in crystalline form. One is diamond, one is graphite, and one is fullerene. See now, the next allotrope of carbon in the amorphous form. So in amorphous form, carbon exists in the form of coal, carbon black, and coke. Now we are going to discuss about the crystalline allotropes of carbon. So diamond, graphite, and fullerene. Basically first we are going to discuss about the crystalline allotrope of carbon, which is diamond. See, basically the hybridization of carbon in diamond is sp3. The hybridization of carbon in diamond is sp3. So each carbon atom having sp3 hybridization, and when carbons are joined together, it forms a large 3-dimensional network. Of covalent bonds, and due to large 3-dimensional network of covalent bond, diamond is a non-conductor of electricity. So diamond is a non-conductor of heat and electricity. So in crystalline allotropes we have discussed about the diamond. The hybridization of each atom in diamond is sp3, and when these atoms are joined together in 3-dimensional network, they form large 3-dimensional network of covalent bonds, and it is non-conductor of electricity and heat. Now we will discuss the another crystalline allotrope, which is graphite. See, so basically in graphite the hybridization of each carbon atom is sp2. In graphite the hybridization of each carbon atom is sp2, and basically in graphite the carbon atoms form a hexagonal layer. So basically in graphite carbon atoms form a hexagonal layer, and these hexagonal layers are held together by weak van der force of attraction. So basically, as due to free electron, as hybridization is sp2, one electron is free. Therefore we can say graphite is a good conductor of heat and electricity. So basically graphite hybridization of each carbon atom is sp2, and in graphite carbon atoms form a hexagonal layers, and these hexagonal layers are held together by weak van der Waals force of attraction, and it is used as a dry lubricant. Hybridization of each carbon is sp2 in graphite, and it is also a good conductor of heat and electricity due to free electron. Now we will discuss about another crystalline allotrope, which is fullerene. So basically in fullerene there are two types of compound. One is fullerene containing carbon C60 and one is C72. So basically in C60, the structure of C60 is similar to football. So in football we can see there are 20 rings of carbon atom. There are 20 rings of carbon atom, which is 6 member carbon atoms, while the 12 rings are of 5 carbon atoms. So basically in C60 fullerene, 20 rings and 12 rings. 20 rings are of 6 carbon atom and 12 rings are of 5 carbon atoms. So basically 6 member ring can fuse with both 5 and 6 member ring, and also in the same way the 5 member ring can also fuse with 6 member ring. So basically there are two types of ring. We have to study C60 in our syllabus, C60, C72. There are two types of ring present, 20 rings of 6 member, 12 rings of 5 member, and 6 member ring can fuse with 5 member ring and 5 member ring can fuse with 6 member ring. So basically the structure of fullerene is similar to football. So this is the example of fullerene. 6 member ring can fuse with 5 and 5 can fuse with 6. So this is completely about the allotropes of carbon we have discussed about.